Here's something unfortunate about the joying that I don't like with the new units. And as I've been saying, it's kind of one step forward, one step back in typical joying fashion. But they don't have a dedicated rear view app in which I can just watch the rear view in its entirety. And another thing is you can't do this rear view in multi-screen. So here's what I mean by that. If I try to go into multi-screen here, I can't. The only thing that shows up is Maps. Maps shows up in multi-screen, but this app does not show up in multi-screen. Up here, it's gone. The workaround is to have this up, hit this button here, and now I've got my maps and I can navigate as I see fit. But the problem is that it always defaults to the front, not the rear. I wish it would default to the rear. But even then, if you had this in full screen mode, what I liked about the old 2021 joying is that it didn't have all these letters here. It didn't have this stuff on the bottom. You just got to see a big, huge picture of what's going on the rear of your vehicle. And unfortunately, that's not the case here. But back to the multi-screen situation. Again, as you saw, it defaulted to the front. And to make matters worse, as I'm going to bring this over here, whenever I do that, it sometimes makes this go black. Why? It just doesn't. It's unfortunate. And now the other problem is when I go into reverse, it shows up my reverse screen. I'm able to reverse as normal. But then whenever I go into drive, it doesn't go back to the default. It just shuts everything down outside of this map that's over here on this side. So there's some software bugs, unfortunately. And I wish joying would just give us an app for the rear that would let us do multi-screen, and it would show up in the recent items menu, just like they had in the 2021. You guys have seen the videos that I've made showing that there was that dedicated rear view app, and it was hidden. Unfortunately, it was hidden. I don't think joying ever meant to have that show up. And they called it right camera. And so I think that had something to do with the Honda Civics, because the Honda Civics had a right camera on the side view mirror. So whenever you would turn on your right blinker, it would show up on the Honda Civic screens from the Honda manufacturer. And I think joying kind of adopted that onto their units. That's an assumption. I don't actually know that, but this is becoming long-winded. First world problems, right? Adding to the list of something that I don't like about the AR camera application that joying is using in order for me to be able to see what's going on in my rear view. And it's frozen, right? I'm going to put it in reverse. The vehicle's in reverse. And it's working just fine. You can see everything moving. I go into drive. Well, now just completely shut down. Back to the front camera. Okay, here we go. Now we're working. Now we're back. Well, so here's the other thing. I'm going to move into my garage here. And when I move into my garage, my headlights are going to turn on. And when my headlights turn on, the screen dims, and that's fine. But then it defaults to the front camera. Why? I don't need it to default to the front camera. Now, it could be useful because I'm coming into my garage, and it could be nice to see how far away I am from things. I will play devil's advocate in that regard. But when I'm going through a tunnel, or I'm going through a bridge and it's, coming into dusk or something like that, and my headlights are turning on and then turning off briefly, it's a bummer that this thing flips to the front camera. It's always constantly defaulting to the front camera, and that's kind of annoying. Let me take a pause from talking negatively about the joying head unit. Yeah, I understand that creating a product like this it's going to be very difficult to try to test this head unit on all the different makes and models. So could my problem be specifically to my Jeep Wrangler? It's possible. I'm using that join, that device that they use where it talks to your vehicle. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but I'm using that. So it's talking to my vehicle, all the steering wheel buttons work. It realizes when I turn the headlights on, stuff like that. So that's working fine. So it could just be something that's with the Jeep Wrangler itself. It may not be with other head units. And as I sit here and I play devil's advocate, yeah, I understand that this product is highly unique, and either A, I'm a masochist and that's why I keep purchasing join head units, or B, there's just nothing else in this form factor that's this clean, that it doesn't have any branding on it, right? It's a very thin screen. It's bright, finally. The 2021 previous join head unit and the ones prior to that, they weren't that bright, especially for someone like me that's got a Jeep Wrangler and I'll take the hardtop off. So people that have convertibles, you know, this screen goes darker at night and it's brighter during the day. I'm able to adjust how dark I want it and how light I want it. I could do that too with the 2021 join head unit, but this one goes even further as far as being darker or being brighter. The screen is certainly more vivid. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I want to get back to this camera situation with the rear view camera. It's a first world problem, right? And we are blessed to have this problem, but I'm sure that there's other people besides me that would like to be able to access the rear view camera while driving forward. And I realize that that's a very small minority, but nonetheless, it was possible in the 2021 join head unit. Why do we consistently do this one step forward, one step back with this join head units that they keep producing? So all that to say this, I would love for them to come out with an update where they have a truly dedicated rear view camera app. Not like this AR camera app, because that's the name of this one. Not like that where it's got the front block and it's got the rear block and then it's got the buttons on the bottom. You don't really get a true sense of what's going on behind your vehicle. That being said, this screen is 13.3 inches. Am I nitpicking? Possibly, and I guess it just depends on what horse you're straddling today. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to cut and say that, you know, Join's done an excellent job. They've come such a long way, and I would love for them to advance, and I'd like for this thing to get fixed, hopefully.